Oh, looks like we got Shane on here now. He is our captain.
Hey guys, how's it going? All right, so we got some new people here. Awesome. Where are you from, Peter?
I'm actually come from finance, but I left a position as a chief technology officer for a hedge fund a couple months ago, and I've been working on a project dedicated to sort of Windows and cloud, and I'm very interested in SaltStack, spending actually quite a lot of time with it.
Okay, has it been working for you?
Yeah. I think there's a bunch of, I was sort of saying before, I think that there's, sort of, it's extraordinarily powerful and diverse in terms of what you can do with Windows, but the examples, I think, are few and far between, and there's some holes in terms of testing that I've seen that are, I'm trying to sort of make a Windows formula styled on the Linux formula that's out there that is sort of a comprehensive example of all of the things that you can do. So I'm probably going to share it with you guys, with this group at some point in the next month, get some feedback, certainly on the structure of the pillars, for it, and testing and everything else.
Okay, well, that'd be really cool. See, we've been working on getting a new release out. We've got a release candidate tag today for Neon that I'm going to be building, so expect to see that later today. That has a lot of fixes for the LGPO module that we've been working pretty hard on. A few additions to the registry module, the ability to check if a value exists. Just a few more things. We've been focused on tests pretty heavily on Windows as well, and actually project-wide, in that we're not accepting PRs where the tests are failing, or new features or bug fixes that don't have tests or regression tests. So that's kind of been our focus. I think now, after Neon is the release that we are working on, and for that we want to have the MSI build, and I think that's kind of our main focus, is to get an MSI installer for Windows for our next Sodium, I think it's Sodium release. Does that sound right? Is our next one Sodium? I can't remember.
After Neon.
Okay, yeah, so it's Sodium release. Marcus has been doing a lot of work on the MSI. So that's been good, and I am going to implement that into the build scripts probably in the next month. We want to move to Python 3.6, and currently Salt isn't running on Python 3.6, so I've got to figure out why it's not running on Windows on Python 3.6. So I have a few things to figure out to get that going. Can't think of anything else that to update you guys with. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
So you mentioned testing. This is Peter. Oh, go ahead.
After you.
I was just wondering, it looks like the default Salt build right now does not do any Windows testing through Travis. It's only local with Test Kitchen against like a Windows 2012 build. Are you guys looking to expand the scope of those tests?
It actually tests on 2019 and 2016, Python 2 and Python 3 on each of those.
Oh, great. I missed that. I'll take a look. That's on the actual Salt build, or is that in a separate?
Well, it runs, we have a weekly build, and then we have with each PR that gets merged in, they run before, and then they run again after it's merged. So And the Windows builds take about 6 to 7 hours to complete. Windows seems to be quite a bit slower than Linux. The Linux builds take about three hours. So that's another issue we could look at addressing, is the slowness on Windows. It has to do with the way processes are forked. Having not come from a computer science background, I couldn't explain what the problem is exactly, but it has to do with the way when we fork a process in Windows, we have to recreate the grains, recreate all the environment that the Python process is using, that Salt is using. Whereas when they do it on Linux, it just gets a copy, basically. That's my understanding of it. Maybe there's some things we can do to speed that out, but that hasn't been our focus. Our focus has just been getting tests green. If you've been following the project for a while, you'll notice that we no longer have a whole bunch of branches we're managing anymore. We used to manage 2018 3 branch, and 2017 7 branch, and a 2019 branch, and then a Neon branch, and then we had a develop branch that was where we put all our new stuff in. And it was just, we were running tests on all of them and trying to keep them all green, and it was slowing down our releases, and it was just too hard for us to handle. So we've simplified our branching strategy. We have one branch now, the master branch, and we are tagging all our releases off that. So it's a little easier to maintain. So now that it's simplified, maybe we can spend some time optimizing Salt for Windows and trying to figure out why it's slow and figuring out how we can speed it up. It is kind of a pain when you're trying to get a PR in, and it takes longer because it takes so long for the tests to run, and then when something fails, then it takes another 6 hours to see if your fix worked, you know. Unless you're set up locally and you're able to replicate it. Sometimes I can't replicate the issue locally, and I have to get out on our test kitchen environment and spin up an instance and test it there, and that, you know, it's not very user friendly in that regard. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And you had something, Marcus?
Yeah, I noticed that there were recent pull requests regarding the version module, and I think that has to do that the MSI needs the version module. So have you been able to get the version out of the newest releases, and how is the MSI building? So I just would like to join in even outside of this regular meeting because I'm kind of keen of pressing you. I'm sure you have a lot of free time. You don't know what to do with your open time, and you could use some more pressure from my side. So, but jokes aside, have you been trying to run the MSI, and did you get any feedback, any error? You just send me the email of the error, and I have an understanding of what's going on. Or have you not been able to run the MSI? Build the MSI.
Right, I haven't done that yet. The changes to the version module were to support our new version numbering. We're going away from 2019.2.1, and we're just going to a single number. And they decided on 3,000. So I don't know, that just seems kind of weird to me. It's like it's super.
By the way, this will create an interesting question. We cannot have that 3,000 in the first version number, because Microsoft in its infinite wisdom has limited that first number to 256, which is lower than 3,000. So we need something, the schema for main, minor, and bug fix. We cannot just say 3,000 dot something in the Windows world.
Okay, so what were you doing with 2019?
call it 19.
19. Okay, so maybe we ought to do 30. 30.0.0.
If you think that's safe, I cannot guess.
Can you do 30.0.0.0?
Absolutely. The .0.0.0. The fourth field has no meaning though. So you just have 3 fields.
Okay. So the reason is because if we had to do some sort of a CVE patch, or for whatever reason we had to rebuild 3000, it would be a 3000.1. But that's supposed to be rare and far between. So then our next release, our next major, like sodium, I think will be 3001, and the next will be 3002. So maybe.
Well, you can leave away the 3000 at all. You can start. I don't know if you can start with 0. To be honest, interesting.
So just make it 0, and then 0.1 and 0.2, or it'd be 1.
Start with 1. So
okay.
you can have it. You can have it called, the product may be called Salt 3000, and the versioning starts with just the number 1. So, but if you start with 3000, then we can simply leave out that zeros version. Anyhow, let us get to the point where it builds, and then we first need to make it build and then decide upon the version.
Do you know when Neon's going to be released?
So is this the number that's going to show up in the AppWiz, in the add remove programs?
Yeah.
So we won't be able to get 3000.
We're going to talk about it in soon.
It must be lower than 256.
Probably early in the Tuesday.
Man, I wish I'd have known this when we were deciding to go this route. That was like 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. We decided to do this. Well, let me bring that up. I'll bring that up with the core team. They're meeting right now.
Okay.
Version number?
Yeah. Good. So MSIs are limited to 256 as the version number. So going 3000.
Morning. Ooh,
it's not good for an MSI.
Stand up with who we've got. I think that more will be joining. I know there's,
I'm gonna have to go somewhere else here. But they were just
going to be coming.
Sorry guys, they're having a meeting in there. I don't know how to turn that light on, but okay. I'll bring this up to them. I don't know if they're going to change that number. So you're saying a 2-digit major, minor, what is it? Major, minor, and then what is it after that? What's the number? Build, major, minor, build number? Is that what the?
I think the precise Microsoft terminology is either bug fix or build. I do not remember. But anyhow, you can have that's the regular GUI scheme. You have that would be major, minor, bug fix, or build, if you like.
Okay. So what if we did 30.00? Can you do 2 digits on the second number?
It's all very well documented. Let me look that up.
That might work for us. 30.00.1, 30.01, 30.02. That might be doable. The problem is that our MSI installer version wouldn't match the the Nullsoft installer version. Because the Nullsoft installer pulls the version out of the Git tag in Git.
But the Nullsoft must have the same problem if you want to have the version number 3000 would not enter into add remove programs. You cannot have, when you look into add remove programs, you see all version numbers and none of them is higher than 256, and not even from Nullsoft.
It does, because it's just a registry entry. It just sets an item setting in the registry, and it doesn't limit it. So actually, the Nullsoft installer we can make it whatever we want. It's the version that Salt reports. So when you do a Salt version, Salt -- version, that is the actual GitHub tag. But I can make that version whatever I want.
Well, maybe it's just an MSI limit. That's possible. I would have to look that up a little longer. Give me some time. It's all very well documented, but I do not have a link right now.
Okay. Is there anything else? So before our next meeting, I will do an MSI build based off of a Neon and just see how it goes.
Good. I have other pull requests open, which we already discussed. In fact, the urgency for UTF-8 is rather high in my case, so I'm getting all weird. I need to always work around because the German language contains much more than the 7-bit ASCII characters. And there is an open pull request who I think nobody was able to look at that. But who could I maybe directly ask for? It's UTF-8. It's code page 7000. Oh, I forgot. 7052, I think.
I thought it was 65001.
Something like that. Yes.
68001 or something.
Yep. We discussed it last time. We need to set that outside of the command run and then command. I think we can concentrate on Python 3 here. It's easier if we do not try to get Python 2. That's much more. It's much more complicated in Python 2. Just leave Python 2 out. We will have Python 3 running, and that would be a good goal for the UTF-8. French and German people will thank you.
Okay, so if I recall our conversation, we were talking about modifying the Salt batch files to have it change the code page on the first line and then launch Salt.
Example, that is one of the things I thought of, and they've used that old IBM code page. We need to take that out of the Salt code. You may no longer use the IBM code page, which is just good for which that restricts it to Windows 7-bit.
Which was 437. That was the 437. And they have the only place we have that is in the command.run module. So we need to remove that part where it prepends 437 and then add 6801 to the batch files so that it sets the code page.
That would make for a good test case. I hope that works. I am doing all this. I tried to run. I didn't really try to run it and make a pull request. I wanted to make it run locally, and I somehow got distracted. It never came through. I had problems with running Python 3 locally.
Okay. I'm not sure putting the code page in the batch file, does that work? Or does it,
Yes.
like the next line, it takes effect?
No, this was the problem with what Dave Boucher did. He executed whatever you execute gets prepended by change code page ampersand. And this only takes effect the next time. But I have written some little Python scripts when I first set in the environment where I then later call the Python script and set it to whatever code page I want. It picks up the code page right from the beginning. It's also quite logical.
Okay, so that should work.
Yep.
All right, we will try that. That is, yep, we need to do that. Okay, I will do that when I do the build also. Do you have a way I can test that to see that it's working? Is there something I could run that would show me whether the code page is being caught properly? And
right, I could set in a test case somewhere. In fact, I will send you a test case, and then you can execute that.
like a state file or something?
Case. Yeah, could be a state file. It would be some a state. I could try it with a state. Yeah.
Do I need to get a German box up or something, or another?
No, you can run that on any Windows. In fact, it's also a problem with we have some machines in English with an English OS, but then if it starts any command which comes back with a German letter is a problem. So you can have just the content of a file. So what I will set up is a test case where you verify the content of a file, which a state can verify the content of a file very easily. It's like file contains or something.
Right.
So any file contains state which contains a German umlaut would either break or not break, and that makes a good test case.
Okay.
And this is yeah, I think only everybody of you except me is running an US English operating system, but even the operating system talks in German, and it has unfortunately the responses of the operating system, like for directory or no, the volume. The word volume in German already contains an umlaut.
Okay. You can't even list your drives.
In fact, when I list my drives, I get a Unicode decode error, cluttering my screen.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, we got to fix this, so
I'm sure.
I'll do some looking at it. And going to Python 3 only is going to help this. I think not have to worry about Python 2 anymore. So
I lived so long with that error in Python 2 that I don't want to spend any money on Python 2.
Okay. Okay, you brought this up last time, and we didn't do anything on it, so I need to do it. Okay, I'm looking at your the text, the chat's been going on here, Peter. So you're looking at the kitchen.yaml. Oh, so you guys got it worked out. I'm not sure it still uses kitchen.yaml. What does it use?
Yeah, it must not be because there's no 19 definition in there.
It must use something else. What would it use? It might be like a Knox file or something. Because I think we use Knox to set up some virtual environments. Let's see if I can find it. It's not in Kitchen yet.
All right, I think I found them. They're in a .ci subdirectory.
Yes, that looks right.
Great, thank you.
I'm glad you found it. Okay. All right. Was there anything else we needed to talk about in this?
I'm fine.
Okay, so action items for me. I'm gonna get Neon built today, and then I'm gonna start working on upgrading our Nullsoft scripts to work with Python 3.6.8. Make sure Salt will start. There's probably gonna be some pull requests for that. Implementing the MSI script into our build script so that it will build both the Nullsoft and the MSI simultaneously. And then we're also going to start working on the Unicode errors. Does that sound right?
Sounds a good plan.
Okay, and I'll let you know how the MSI build goes for me. What problems I have. We'll talk about the versions.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Be aware that there are 2 pull requests, so get the latest sources from my repository.
Do those need to be merged?
Yes, well, I think so.
Okay. Okay, I'll take a look at them and get those in. Okay. Does anybody else have anything?
I'm fine.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you guys for coming and being part of the Windows working group. We'll meet again next month, and we'll see how the builds are going and continue where we left off here.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Bye.